Recording in progress.
Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay. So I was asking you about the intrinsic and extrinsic proteins. What are these?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the intrinsic membrane proteins are fully or partially in the membrane,
Hmm.
while the extrinsic proteins are not in the membrane. They're found on the outer
Outer
surface or
surface
inner
of the
surface.
membrane. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
They will not be present like this. If you see this, this is an intrinsic
yeah,
protein because it is inside and outside. If you talk about just
yeah,
that protein which is just outside or just inside, then that protein will be extrinsic because it is not present in the middle, in the center of the membrane. Because you know that in the cell membrane you have two layers. You
yeah.
have lipid bilayer. So this is just a simple meaning of the intrinsic and extrinsic. That intrinsic will have it will be determined by the hydrophilic as well as hydrophobic regions. Why? Because intrinsic is present in between the center, within the membrane, within the cell membrane. But when we talk about the extrinsic proteins, they are present on the outside of the membrane or whether they will be present in the inner side. Okay. And yes, mm, we talked about one more thing that in extrinsic proteins, they may attach these type of proteins, such proteins like this is the extrinsic protein, they may attach to some other components as well. Okay, some other biomolecules as well. Just like if it is attached to a carbohydrate, just like this red one is a carbohydrate. You know, this is a sugar molecule. It is defined from this that definitely it will be a carbohydrate because in carbohydrate we have discussed in detail that you have glucose and glucose ring structure of the glucose is like this. You remember? Like this. If you remember the ring structure of the glucose.
Yeah, the structure of the
Yeah.
glucose.
So you have different, these are different glucose. So it is defined from this one that this part will be carbohydrate.
That's a glycoprotein.
Yeah, that is glycoprotein. This is protein. So collectively it will be known as a conjugate molecule and the specific name for this will be glycoprotein. Why glyco? Because for carbohydrate we always use glycogen. Okay, and this is protein. Similarly, if you talk about this, this is also glycoprotein. Carbohydrate part, this is carbohydrate part, and this is glycoprotein as a whole. If you just have this, if you talk about this one, if you see, this is a lipid. You know this was lipid bilayer, right? This was the outer part of the lipid, the hydrophilic
Yeah,
head. On the hydrophilic head, directly carbohydrate is present. So what will be the name? Glyco.
glycolipid.
Yes, glyco for carbohydrate and lipid for this lipid. And similarly, you have this one. What is this known as? What is this? This one.
That's a glycoprotein.
Yeah, that's a glycoprotein. Okay. And what is this? This one. Is this a conjugate molecule or not? This one.
No, this is not
Why?
because it doesn't have anything attached
It is
to it.
not attached to anything directly. It is a trans protein, transport protein. Okay. And similarly, you have cholesterol as well in it. So these are the conjugate molecules which may present, the extrinsic proteins may present along with the some of the lipids. Sometimes these such type of proteins can attach to the lipids or sometimes they can attach to the carbohydrates. Getting my point? When they will be
Yeah,
like when if okay if there is an arrangement of protein with lipid then it will be known as lipoprotein. If you have protein and carbohydrate then it will be
then it
hmm.
will be if it's attached to phospholipid, then
Okay,
it
wait a
will
minute.
be
I am writing over here. If you have protein plus lipid, okay, and then I have uh, carbohydrate, and lipid, and protein plus carbohydrate. I think all these scenarios are done. All the yeah. What is this? Protein plus lipid.
Protein plus lipid
Hmm.
is
Lipo.
glyco
No, there is no glyco. Lipo protein.
lipoprotein.
Yes. There is you cannot say protolipid. This is not the terminology. You will always use lipid before. Lipo protein. Okay. Then what about
Okay,
this? In this you can use the glyco terminology first for the carbohydrate. That will be
glycolipid.
glycolipid. And what is last one?
That's glycoprotein.
Yes. Okay. Protein will always be in the last. Glycoprotein or glycolipid. Glyco will be in the start and lipo will can also be in the start. You cannot use like protolipid. This is
Okay.
wrong. This is not the name. You have lipoprotein, glycolipid or glycoprotein. These are conjugate molecules. Now we will talk about you will tell the arrangement of the cholesterol, glycolipid, glycoprotein, and cell membrane. In this we have discussed how these are arranged. Like if we talk about one by one about these, this is a protein. This is a transmembrane protein. Okay, this type of protein is known as transmembrane protein. Why it is known as transmembrane protein? Because it is present over here at this position. Okay, it will allow some of the things to pass through it. Okay, and there is one more thing about this one.
It allows
This is
the substances
transport
to move
protein.
across the.
Sorry,
It allows the substances to go into the across the
this one,
membrane.
this transport protein. This will transport. This protein is known as trans protein, a transmembrane protein because it can literally go from here to this like this. It can move like this. Just like we have studied that there can be lateral movement of protein molecules of different molecules. So such type of membranes which can move, which can leave one position and they can be maybe it is now on this position. Okay. So such type of proteins are known as transmembrane proteins. And why they do so? It depends on the situation. Sometimes as I told you, that cell molds itself. Okay. Cell changes its shape. So when the cell is changing its shape, obviously it will change its cell membrane, isn't it? If you see, if you have a structure like this, for example, you have a cell like this. How you will get a cell like this? Obviously, the cell membrane has some changes over here, right? At this position.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have a cell like this. So how the cell overall shape of the cell depends on the cell membrane. That how the cell membrane is arranged. So definitely the cell membrane, as you know, in the cell membrane there are different components. So those components will change their configuration, will change their positions. This is how you can change the shape of the cell. Are you getting my point? Like if you
Yeah.
want to break a wall and you want to make a design in that, obviously you will break those bricks at some point to make that particular design, right? Similarly, if cell has to change its shape, what will be done? The cell membranes component will change their position. Only those which can change, like the transmembrane, they can change their position, so they can move. They can laterally move. Remember one thing: not all things can change their position in the cell membrane. Okay, only
Not all things.
some components can move, just like these
Like
proteins.
the cholesterol can't move.
It sometimes, if it is attached, like if you know over here, it is not directly attached. It can move over here, right? Over here or here, laterally. But if you see over here, it has a tight conjugation, a tight packing. It cannot move from here. So it
Okay.
depends. Okay, it depends on the situation. Okay, one more thing about the yeah this is glycoprotein and this is transport proteins. So there are different type of proteins. Transport proteins, they are also an example of transmembrane protein. Okay, these are also example of transmembrane protein because they can also laterally move. Like for example, it is over here at this position. After some time, maybe this is at this position. They can be at this position.
Yeah.
So this is a transmembrane protein. Transport protein is a transmembrane protein. Then the transport proteins are like we are saying these are transmembrane proteins. And what else is there? Yeah, all
What
we
about
have
the
discussed. Hmm?
what about the there was something else in the notes. The receptor protein?
Which one?
Receptor protein.
Yeah, receptor proteins, they are present in the, when you talk about the receptor proteins, they are particularly present and when you are having a specific type of response. Okay, that is known as cell mediated response. Sometimes cell has to respond according to the situation. So in that situation, there are receptor proteins as well. They receive something just like, the antibodies, the concept of antibodies.
Yeah.
And yeah, in that case, you have receptor proteins. Receptor proteins will be working over there.
Okay.
Okay. This was about the arrangement of these things. And one more thing about this, that when we talk about these one, yeah, this one, they have mentioned over here, this carbohydrate part, this glyco part, they have mentioned that transmembrane ligand receptor. Now, this is what you were saying, that receptor protein. So, it is not a protein, it is the transmembrane ligand receptor. What is this? What is this? This whole
Um, that's
protein plus carbohydrate.
receptor protein.
Uh-huh.
Protein plus carbohydrate.
Hmm.
It's glycoprotein.
Yeah, it is glycoprotein. So they are saying this glycoprotein is what? It is ligand receptor. It will receive ligand, okay, in the body. That is why it is, and it is also transmembrane. It can change its position. It can be over here. After some time, it can be over here. Remember one thing, they can move laterally, okay? They cannot move like this. Like after some time, it is over here, and then it is over here. This is not the case. They can laterally change their position. Clear? Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand.
yeah, this is the transmembrane ligand receptor. This is glycoprotein. Yes. Then you have one more thing about this is cholesterol. This is glycoprotein. Yeah, this is done over here on this slide. We talk about this. This, they have written open carrier channel. This is open channel protein for facilitated diffusion. We will discuss in the next section about the facilitated diffusion. That what is facilitated diffusion? So this type of protein is specified for this function, the facilitated diffusion. Okay. So you must know that everything in the body has its specific function. No other thing can perform that particular function. So in the cell membrane, you have these channel proteins. They can ask you what is the function of channel protein. So you cannot say that channel protein is helping in it works as a receptor. It is not the case. We have discussed it that the receptor is glycoprotein, ligand receptor. Particularly when they talk about ligand receptor, so you will say the glycoprotein present in the cell membrane act as a ligand receptor. It will receive the ligand. It will respond to the ligand, not receive, just it will respond to the ligand. Whether that ligand should attach or whether one of the ligand should detach from the cell membrane. Are you getting this? What I'm saying?
Yeah, but what is ligand? It's like a
Ligand are a specific type of molecule we will discuss later on. Like you can say
hormone.
in chemistry you will be discussing this as well. Sorry, what you're saying?
Okay. Is it a hormone?
No, ligand is not an hormone. Ligand, you can say it provides a signal. It's a signaling molecule. Uh, Particularly like neurotransmitters. You know about neurotransmitters.
Yeah.
So neurotransmitters give a particular signal. That is a ligand. And what you were saying, hormone?
I was asking because
Yeah,
the
hormone can also be a ligand because hormones give signal from
yeah,
like from their starting point, like from their where they are releasing, and they act somewhere else. So yeah, when we talk about ligand, I can write it over here that ligands are signaling molecules. You can simply say these are signal. They provide signal.
okay.
And like for example, we can say the hormones or neurotransmitters. And what is a receptor? What is a receptor? Or it can be any, yeah, one more thing, it can be any drug as well. Sometimes you are suffering from a particular disease and you take the drug. I'm talking about the medicine,
Yeah,
not just I'm talking about the drug. In the biology, you have two types of drug, not just that
okay.
narcissist drug.
Yeah,
So, yes, the medicine. So when you have the drug, it will obviously you are eating, you are taking that, and that will be broken down, that will be digested in your stomach, but it will attack at some where else where there is it needed. Okay, so this is what we say the ligands are. Ligands are signaling molecules. Okay, and they will bind to their specific receptor. Okay, it is not the case that they can bind to anything. They will bind to the receptor protein on the cell membrane. That is why it is written over here. If you see this diagram and this, they have mentioned the transmembrane ligand receptor. That if you have, for example, one hormone is present over here, maybe at this position, I can change the color. Like this is the hormone. Now this hormone
yeah,
has to enter the cell. From where it will enter the cell? It will attach to this part only. Okay. This is what they are saying. That this glycoprotein is ligand receptor. It will accept ligand only. It is specific for the ligand. Clear?
yeah.
It cannot. This hormone cannot attach in any other position. It cannot directly attach to this. It cannot enter. It may attach over here, but it cannot enter the cell. So these glycoproteins are transmembrane. You know transmembrane, but why it is transmembrane? Because it can literally move. And ligand receptor because it is accepting the ligand, accepting or it is responding. Basically, when we talk about the receptor, what is a receptor in biology? When we particularly talk about receptors.
It sends the signal, or like it receives the
Mm-hmm.
signals.
Yes, sorry.
It receives the signals
It receives the signal from the just
from the
like
neuron.
yes. These are, you can simply say the receptors, just like these, the glycoproteins, they are specialized proteins, right? They are specialized for what function?
What?
I am saying the receptors, when we talk about the receptors, whenever you have receptors, they will attach to specific positions, isn't it? They
Yeah,
cannot randomly attach in any position. So, what
yeah.
function they can perform?
They'll attach to the glyco.
hmm I
They'll
can
attach
write
to
it
the
over here.
glycoprotein.
Receptors are, and I can simply mention over here, they are specialized. You can say, yeah, specialized proteins and they are present on the cell surface. Okay, present special proteins present outside cell surface. Okay, and what is their function? What is the specific function of this receptor that they
It
detect?
receives.
Hmm. Yeah, to detect the stimuli. Clear? So this is the difference between
Yeah,
ligand and receptor. I hope you are clear with this. That ligands are
Yeah.
signaling molecules. They will give a signal to the like just like hormones, etc. And where the hormones are attached, that position known as receptors, the specialized protein. So specifically, they are talking about these two things over here. The transmembrane ligand receptor. This glycoprotein is a ligand receptor. And ligand over here may be any hormone or it can be any neurotransmitter. So these glycoproteins will accept those hormones or those neurotransmitter or that particular type of drug. Okay. And yes, these open carrier proteins, the these are known as open carrier proteins and they are also known as channel proteins because they are providing a channel in between. Okay. So they help in facilitated diffusion. And yeah, what is facilitated diffusion?
Facilitated diffusion.
What is simple diffusion?
It's the net movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration.
Yeah, in the simple, when we talk about the simple diffusion, what we say is that the substances diffuse basically, okay, from the area of,
From the area of higher concentration to the
hmm,
area of lower concentration.
yes. But when we talk about the facilitated diffusion, it is in this you also don't need energy, but the molecules will move from the cell membrane. When we talk about the cell membrane, they will cross the cell membrane with the help of some specific structures, with help of some specific protein, just like this. The channel proteins. They cannot, they don't need energy. Actually, what I'm saying is that this facilitated diffusion is also a type of transport, the passive transport. You know the passive transport and active transport, difference of active and passive transport.
Yeah.
What is the
Active
difference?
transport.
Hmm.
Active transport. It requires energy, and it's
Yes,
from a region of lower concentration to a region of higher concentration.
yes, exactly. And in active transport, you have like we have different examples. But now we are talking about the diffusion. Diffusion is passive transport. Okay, it does not need energy because it simply it can happen if you have a spray. If you spray at one corner of your room, so after 5 minutes maybe, the fragrance will be in the whole room. Why is this so? Because the particles were more at one position for when you spray that, and after 5 or 10 minutes, those particles they move from their concentrated area towards the lower concentrated area, and this is how a uniform environment will be. So such type of diffusion is known as simple diffusion and it does not need any energy. This is a form of passive transport.
I can't hear you.
Similarly, facilitated diffusion is also passive transport. But, sorry, can you hear me now?
I didn't, what you were saying before was all glitched.
I was giving you an example. Like you have a body spray, or you maybe you have a room freshener, and you spray that in one corner of your room, right? And after 5 minutes, the fragrance will be all over the room, in the whole room. Why is this so? Because over the area, in that area where you sprayed that, at that area there was the condensation of the particles, right? And then after some time, that condensation ended. Why? Because the particles from that dense area they move toward the area of their lower concentration, and this is how the fragrance will be all over the room.
Yeah.
It will spread all over the room. This is a common example of diffusion. And when we talk about the facilitated diffusion, for facilitated diffusion, you need to have a specific type of protein carrier to move that particular thing. You don't need energy. You don't need energy. It will be same. It will be similar to diffusion. There is just one difference that it needs specialized proteins to move that particular thing. Okay?
What does it need?
Hmm?
Protein.
Yeah. It needs specialized proteins to move that particular thing. Just for example, the potassium ions or sodium ions. Okay, if we talk about the sodium ions, if you have sodium ion or potassium ion, So you know how they move? They move through the channel proteins, the calcium ions. Okay, they all move through the
Where
channel
does
protein with the
facil
help of channel protein. Sorry, what you're saying?
where does facilitated diffusion take place? In the cell membrane?
Yeah, in the cell membrane. Over here,
Okay.
this is this is a carrier protein. This is a channel protein. If you see this, so I am saying why it is needed. It is needed for some of the molecules to pass through. Some of the part, just like sodium, potassium, calcium, they cannot travel directly from here to this part. Okay, they cannot move directly. What they do, they need a carrier protein. Okay, they cannot move the calcium ion or potassium ion. They cannot pass the cell membrane on its own. They need this type of protein, a carrier protein or a channel protein. Are you getting this? They don't
Yeah.
need energy. They just need specific gates. You can simply say they just need specific gates to pass through.
Okay.
Okay. And these are known as the carrier, such structures are known as carrier proteins. And I am telling you basically I am telling you the function of different things. Like firstly I told you what is the function of glycoprotein. Like this. What is the function of glycoprotein?
It's the function of glycoprotein is
Hmm.
I don't the immune response,
Over here, what is written over here?
the antibodies.
What is this? What is this?
For this one,
Hmm.
that's the ligand receptor. Ligand receptor.
Yes, you over here we are discussing the functions within the cell membrane. What are the functions of these things within the cell membrane? So you will say this glycoprotein will act as a transmembrane and it is a ligand receptor. Okay, this glycoprotein is a ligand receptor. And what is ligand? Anything, hormone, neurotransmitter, or drug. So this glycoprotein will respond to that drug or neurotransmitter or hormone.
Okay.
Are you getting my point? What I am,
Yeah.
we are discussing the function of these components within the cell membrane. Now, how they are helping the cell membrane to transport different things. Clear?
But
Hmm.
all the glycoproteins don't have the same function, right?
Yeah, no, all will not have the same function. We are particularly talking about the in the cell membrane. Okay,
Okay.
within the cell membrane. Okay, when now we will, yes, one more function we have discussed about this channel protein. What is the function of this channel protein or carrier protein?
This carrier protein is to transport
Hmm.
the substances like what was it, potassium,
Hmm.
nitrogen,
Hmm.
and other molecules by facilitated diffusion
Yes.
across the cell membrane.
Hmm. Like I told you that calcium, sodium, potassium, they cannot directly enter, they cannot directly cross the cell membrane. They need specific gates, they need specific channels. Okay?
Okay.
Okay,
Mm,
now, hmm? Sorry, what you were saying?
nothing.
Okay. And similarly, when we talk about the carrier proteins, they will help to bind the specific molecules. Okay, one more thing. You must
What?
know that over here they have mentioned carrier and channel protein together, but these are two different proteins. They will look like this, same. But when we talk about the carrier protein, I am writing it over here. The carrier protein. When we talk about these, we say, uh, like for example, there is a molecule, there is a glucose molecule, right? And that glucose molecule has to pass through it. It cannot directly enter. Why? Because glucose molecule is a large molecule. Okay, it cannot directly cross the cell membrane. So it will pass through this. It will Actually, this carrier protein will modify that glucose molecule. Okay, there will be conformational changes in the glucose structure. Are you getting this? Like for example,
It changes
sometimes
the
you need, yeah,
it changes the glucose structure.
yeah, it just changes the configuration, conformational changes. Conformational changes means it cannot change the it cannot make changes in the chemical composition of the glucose. Like it cannot change the carbon, hydrogen, oxygen content of the glucose. It can just change the shape of the glucose molecule, or you can say the conformational change. It is known as conformational, the shape of the glucose molecule.
Okay.
And then the glucose molecule can enter. Are you getting my point, what I'm saying? Sometimes
Yeah.
some things cannot directly enter at some space. So what you do, you fold them, or so you are not changing their
Yeah.
composition. Yeah, you are just changing their shape so that they can fit in.
Okay. And
Okay.
that's called facilitated diffusion.
Yeah, that is also facilitated. Now, for glucose molecule, that is not facilitated diffusion. Is that facilitated diffusion if we talk about glucose?
Is it not?
Now, if you have many glucose molecules, and those glucose molecules are moving from one point to another, then you will say that is a diffusion.
Okay.
You are confusing two things because they have written two things together. Channel protein, when they talk about channel protein, then you can use the terminology facilitated diffusion. Let me clear it. Firstly, carrier protein. When we talk about carrier protein, we will say that these proteins bind to specific molecules. Okay, just not every molecule can bind with them. Just like I am writing the glucose. Okay, and then what they will do, and they will undergo conformational changes. Remember this thing. They cannot change the composition. They will undergo conformational. This is a specific terminology we use. Conformational changes. It means the changes in the shape. Okay, they will make the conformational changes. They will undergo conformational changes so that I can write it in the next line. Glucose molecule can easily move across the membrane. Okay, are you clear with this? When we talk about
Yeah.
the carrier protein, the carrier proteins are what are these? These proteins bind to a specific molecule. Okay, these will protein to those molecules. Like for example, glucose. Like glucose is a large molecule; it cannot cross the cell membrane. So what will happen? It will be binded with the carrier protein, and that carrier protein will modify its shape. It will undergo the conformational changes in the glucose molecule, and then that glucose molecule can easily move the across the membrane. So this is the function of carrier proteins. Okay, because as the name indicated, it is carrying that particular thing, carrier protein. Just like you have courier services, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why you are responding so late? Are you writing?
Yeah, I was writing that.
Okay, I will share these things, no problem. Okay, after this, now, yeah, one more thing. I was talking about the channel protein. If we talk about channel protein, they are just like you can say, they are just like a gate. You have a gate, or they are just like tunnels. They will be same like this, but their function is just to move some of the ions. Okay, some of the specific ions, just like sodium, potassium, calcium, or sometimes waters. Sometimes water when we talk about water, and it allows the rapid movement. In that case, you can say
Okay.
this is a facilitated diffusion. Clear?
Yeah.
You can also say in this case, carrier protein, in this case, if you have many glucose molecules. Okay, if there are many glucose molecules and they are moving across this protein, across this tunnel channel protein, and they are modifying their shape, then you can say that facilitated diffusion is happening. But it doesn't happen with the glucose molecule because that is a large molecule. You see, when we talk about the calcium, potassium, or calcium, potassium, or sodium, they are small ions, right? So you can have these in more concentration. So when they will move from an area of higher concentration to the area of lower concentration with the help of the channel protein, so that will be known as facilitated diffusion. Okay. Should I write about the channel protein as well, or is this okay?
Yeah, can you?
Okay, okay. I can write the channel proteins. Okay. They act like the tunnel, or you can say they are gated. They act like a gate, and they will allow um, specific ions like calcium, sodium, potassium, okay, mm, to pass through it rapidly. Because otherwise they cannot pass the calcium, sodium, potassium, these ions, and they will respond. There will be a chemical stimulus. According to that, they will respond. We will discuss this in the sodium gates and potassium gates and calcium gates, how they work, how they actually work. Are you clear with this?
Yeah, one second.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just writing it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. This is about the structure, different structures. We have discussed these things. Now we will be discussing about the how this was the arrangement. Okay. Now there is the role of these things. What are the role of these things? Firstly, you know about the phospholipid. Describe the role of phospholipid, cholesterol, glycolipid, glycoprotein, and protein in the cell surface membrane. What is the role of phospholipid?
The role of phospholipid is the amphiteric, like the
Mm-hmm.
interactions with water.
Firstly, no. Firstly, what is the role of phospholipid, which we have discussed earlier? The main role.
It it's what the membranes are made out of.
Hmm. You will simply say that this phospholipid they form the basic structure of the membrane. Okay,
Okay.
basic structure of cell membrane. You know, this is the most basic thing. Without it, you don't have any membrane. Okay, then we have discussed about the amphipathic nature of it, the polarity and
Mm-hmm.
hydrophobicity, all those things. I am just writing amphipathic. If they ask you such a thing, you must mention. If they ask you the role of phospholipid, then and according to the marks, if it is for 4 marks, so you must mention amphipathic nature, that hydrophilicity and hydrophobicity, okay, and the composition, how it is made up of. What are the things? Okay, now we can discuss the functions of the phospholipid. Now we are the role of the phospholipid. Firstly, the basic structure of the cell membrane, then its amphipathic nature. What will it do? It will allow, when we talk about the amphipathic nature, so we will say that